Hi, this is Kevin, and today's presentation is about noun clauses. This is the introduction. I will talk about some general information about this grammar point and get you ready to start doing some exercises in the textbook. We'll be studying this grammar point for 3 weeks because this one is a little more difficult. Okay, this is chapter 14 in our book. So let's get started. So this is a clause. So if you remember, we studied adjective clauses last semester, um, and we call these noun clauses because these are clauses that act like nouns. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, remember, clauses and noun clauses have a subject and a verb. They are not a complete sentence, but noun clauses have a subject and a verb inside them. Okay. And noun clauses usually come after a reporting verb, a be verb, or be plus an adjective. And they're nouns, so they can be a subject of a sentence. They can come at the beginning, but that's not as common. It's more common that these come as objects after reporting verbs, a be verb, or be plus an adjective. Okay? And usually these come after verbs or adjectives that describe some type of mental activity or a state, a mental state. And that's because a lot of times this grammar is used to report about something, another idea. Okay. So we'll get into that. We'll talk more about reporting next week. So there's basically three types of noun clauses. If it's a regular sentence or a statement, noun clauses start with that. If it's a question, then it will start with, if it's a WH question, it will start with the WH question word: who, what, when, where, why, how much, how long, all those. And if it's a yes or no question, then it will start with if or whether. Okay. So here's a couple examples. Who is that guy? This is a regular question, but when we change this to a noun clause, we might say, I don't know who that guy is. And who that guy is a noun clause. Okay. And we know this is a noun clause because if I change this sentence one more time to I don't know him, him is a noun, right? It's the object of know. And so this whole clause, who that guy is, does the same job as him. It's a noun, right? An object of know. So that's why we know, and that's why we call this a noun clause. It acts like a noun. Okay, B, what did she say? Tell me what she said. Here you can see this is a question, WH question. When we make it a noun clause, we use regular word order, right? Subject, verb, and then this one doesn't have an object, but subject, verb, SV. We don't use the question order. We don't need to put a verb before the subject. So we don't keep did here in the noun clause, but we still show the tense and the aspect on the verb. So this is simple past, said. Here it's simple past with did. Okay. Example C, are you okay? This is a yes or no question. So if this is a noun clause, can you tell me if you are okay? All right. And again, here, pay attention to the word order. In a question, we have to put the verb before the subject, but here it's regular word order. Okay, and one more example of a statement. Grammar is fun. Yes, we all know. So everyone agrees that grammar is fun. And here, this one's pretty simple, right? We just put that to start the noun clause. Okay, and here's the reporting verb. So those are some quick introductory examples. And next, we'll talk a little bit more. So WH question noun clauses. These, like I said, they use regular subject, verb, object, word order. We keep the same WH question word. when you make the noun clause or use the same WH question word, but don't keep do if it's not the main verb. So if you use do in a question, regular question, you don't keep it when you make it into when you have a noun clause. Okay, if it's not the main verb. So here's a couple more examples of this type of noun clause. E. No one knows when COVID-19 is going to end. So here's a reporting verb, and then here's the noun clause, when COVID-19 is going to end. If this was a question, we would say when is. We would move this be verb before the subject so the listener knows I'm asking for information. Okay, one more example. Tell me more about how you study English. How you study English is the noun clause. And here's a reporting verb, tell, or a phrase, tell me about. If this was a regular question, how do you study English? We add do to make a question, but in the noun clause, we don't need it. Okay? Pretty easy, right? Next, yes-no questions, noun clauses. Okay. These, again, they use regular subject, verb, object, word order. And these start with if or whether. In spoken English, it's much more common to use if, but you will see this in writing. So if you do a lot of reading, you will see whether, but you might hear it too on some shows or some news if people are trying to sound intelligent, but it's more common to use if. It's easier to pronounce too. And again, you don't keep do if it's not the main verb. And you can put the phrase or not at the end of this noun clause, but you don't need to. Okay, so a couple examples. G, did Kevin say if we have a final exam in this class? Did Kevin say if we have a final exam in this class? So here you can see this is a reporting verb, and then we have this noun clause, if we have a final exam. And if this was a regular question, again, it would be, do we have a final exam? But we don't keep do in the noun clause, and the word order is regular. Okay, one more example. The students aren't sure whether the answer is correct or not. In this example, we have be verb plus an adjective, sure, and then whether. The students aren't sure whether the answer is correct or not. And you don't need to have or not, but it's here in this example for you. Okay? If this was a regular question, we would say, is the answer correct or not? Right? Okay. And the last type is that noun clauses. These are for statements, and they start with that, but dropping this word that is very common, especially in spoken English. It's very common. And even in written English, it's very common to drop that. So sometimes it's hard to recognize noun clauses because we don't always see this word that at the beginning. And like I said, they usually follow verbs of mental activity or be plus an adjective. Okay, so here's a couple examples. I heard that Santa Claus is coming to town. So here's reporting verb heard, and then that, and then here's just a sentence, right? But it's a noun clause because we already have a subject, a verb, and then here we have a noun clause with Santa Claus is the subject and is coming is the verb. Okay. And J, the students are scared there will be another Flipgrid assignment. So here, the main sentence, the students are subject, verb, and then here's the adjective, are scared, and then this time we don't have that. They are scared that there will be another Flipgrid assignment. So here we don't have that. Okay, and the last example here, that's the best we can hope for. Okay. Here's be verb and an adjective, and then we have a noun clause that we can hope for. All right. So that's kind of how noun clauses look. And this is a very common grammar in spoken English and written English. So here's a quote from Captain America in, I think Marvel movies are very popular with young people nowadays. So here you go. I know you are only doing what you believe in, and that's all any of us can do. It's all any of us should. So no matter what, I promise, if you need us, if you need me, I'll be there. Okay. Captain America says this to Iron Man. And here he uses this grammar 3 times, right? Here he says, I know, this is his reporting verb. And then we have a very long noun clause. He says, I know that you were only doing what you believe in. And then here he has 2 noun clauses, right? He has a second noun clause inside his first noun clause, what you believe. Then he says, that's all that any of us can do. It's all that any of us should do, like that. So you can see it's very common, and it is very, sometimes when it's spoken very fast, it's hard to catch this grammar, but it's very common. So it's very important to learn, and we will be studying it this week. So good luck with your exercises, and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thanks, and talk to you later.